So I actually hit Master 1 like a while ago, but I didn't record it because I was lazy. I don't really have a good excuse for that. This game has made me extremely apathetic recently, just because it's gotten stale and it's just not very interesting in my opinion to play. So I haven't been opening Master Duel up as much. But yeah, my bad on that. So this deck that I played the Master 1, I don't know if like I found something accidentally extremely broken, or if I just got extremely lucky over the course of however many like 50 plus games I played with this. But yeah, as you can see, we got a win streak in Master 1, like a win streak of 10. So like basically means I won straight from Master 3 to Master 1. I won undefeated, and my match history, unfortunately, it got deleted by the maintenance. I forgot the maintenance does that, so you're gonna have to trust me, bro, on this. But like I did go of like my last 20 games, I think I went something like 17-3. So like basically almost straight from Master 4 to Master 1 without any hiccups. Yeah, I don't think this deck is actually that good. Like there's no way that this deck is actually that good, because there's no Mitsurugi cards in here, there's no Orcust cards, there's no Ryzeal cards, there's no Maliss cards in here. Okay, all of this is literally just it's not even that okay. It is a bit interesting in a sense, but this is basically my Fiendsmith Primite list, and I added in an Angel Trumpeter, which this is the adding this card just changed how the deck played completely, funnily enough. And also, this is yes, this is a Fabled deck. Technically, this is a Fabled deck. There are a total of 2 Fabled monsters in here. We got one Lurie and one Levilazebul. Yeah, that's enough to call this a Fabled card. You can come at me, MPT, or that's enough to call this a Fabled deck. Someone apologize to Doug for me if this somehow, if he ever sees this. I don't mean any offense to him, but yeah. I'm joking on that a little bit, but in all honesty, Fabled, Levilazebul, and Lurie, like these are integral parts of the deck. I pretty much almost every game, or like any game I open Primite cards, I want to try to funnel my plays into making it Lurie plus Fabled, Levilazebul. Yes, it's only 2 cards in the deck, but when you basically try to access these 2 cards every single duel, it's still like, this doesn't play like a normal Primite Fiendsmith deck. Definitely, the combos are quite a bit different, which I will get to later. But yeah, the main reason I wanted to play Angel Trumpeter was like it was like as a joke, because number one, it's Angel Trumpeter, and I'm playing 3 vanillas in this deck, which is like that totally never backfired before. I totally didn't open 3 vanillas in my hand at any point at once, but. Yeah, basically Angel Trumpeter being a level 4 normal tuner, I think this is the only one in the entire game that works, because the other level 4 vanilla tuner is a pendulum monster, and obviously when a pendulum monster it gets removed from the field, it doesn't go to the graveyard, so that messes with roars. Like this is actually I think the only one that works. But yeah, basically Angel Trumpeter plus any level 6 light fiend, or like any level 6 monster, but the majority of my level 6 monsters are light fiends. So, and there's quite a lot of them actually. With Engraver, Lacrima, or Necrophiliac Princess, which I guess is a dark fiend. But yeah, with any of these 3 monsters plus the Angel Trumpeter, you get to make a Fabled Levilazebul. And like, what does Fabled Levilazebul do? So, if you've never seen this card before, which I guess if you haven't played Fabled, there's a good chance you've never seen this. This card is actually extremely broken. Okay, so. It's number one, it's a generic 10 synchro, which, if Baron didn't exist, this would get a lot more attention, but unfortunately, because Baron exists, this basically has no purpose in Master Duel, because 99% of decks would rather just make a Baron over Fabled Levilazebul. I think this is the only deck in the game that actually would prefer to play this level 10 synchro over Baron. Like, even Fabled, like if you're playing actual Fabled with more Fabled cards, I think even Fabled actually still plays Baron de Fleur in their deck. This deck does not play Baron. But yeah, this card, so it's a quick effect. You can tribute any number of Fabled monsters. So like that includes you can tribute itself. It's not a cost, so like it can't get called by it or anything. And then you get to take control of face the monster your opponent controls, and then it also negates their effect. So basically, you make this, you sack it, you negate one of your opponent's monsters effects, and then you take it. So that is like probably one of the strongest forms of monster removal available, like in all honesty, because it is a negate, it negates, but it doesn't destroy the monster, it just takes it and moves it to your field. So that means they can't do anything with the monster. So like, it doesn't go to the graveyard, it doesn't get banished like a Maliss monster that triggers, it doesn't return to the hand, so they can't use the monster again. Like, they can't banish it for like a Bestial or a, what was that card? Like in March Hare, like it doesn't go because it's not in the graveyard. It doesn't go back to your hand for reuse. It just goes to your side of the field, and when your monster is on your side of the field, like they can't do shit with it until they run it over and get it back. So like this is like one of the strongest forms of actual monster disruption I think that's in the game. Like surprisingly, like it's deceptively a really strong interruption. Also, you might notice that the once per turn, it's not a hard once per turn. So theoretically, if you summon Fabled Levilazebul back to your field, you can use its Yoink effect and steal another monster. And you know, there's a very easy way to get a Fabled Levilazebul back on your field. Because it is a light fiend, this deck plays Agnunde. You make Agnunde in almost all of your combos. So you can steal one monster with Fabled Levilazebul, and then Agnunde bring back the Fabled Levilazebul, and then because it's not a hard one to turn, you get to steal another one. So you can potentially get 2 Yoinks with this. And it's really hard for most decks right now. Well, not just right now, just in general. It's really hard for most decks to play through 2 Yoinks that also negate their effects when they get stolen. And something else that's funny is that it's also, if you notice, it doesn't say until the end of the turn. The monsters you steal with this, the steal is permanent. The monsters are permanently yours, okay? They don't go back to your opponent at the end of the turn or anything. So like, sometimes people will play not knowing that, and people will play expecting the monsters to return, and then they'll, instead of you know, killing their own monsters because they expect them to get them back, they'll like run over something random like a Lacrima on the field because they don't want me to start with a fucking Lacrima on my side of the field on my turn. And then it goes to end phase, and then they're wondering why the game bugged because the monsters don't come back. Well, I mean, the monsters don't come back. If you steal 2 monsters with Fabled Levilazebul, you just get to start your turn with 2 monsters on the field. That's nice. Also, very funny because this is the best counter in the game to Fiendsmith Lacrima, to opposing Lacrima, the Crimson Tears, because if they just go summon Lacrima, you go Fabled Levilazebul, steal your Lacrima. The Lacrima doesn't send Engraver because it's negated. You steal their body so they can't link it off into Requiem, and then it passes back to your turn, and guess what? You can use their Lacrima to make your own Requiem, and then do full Fiendsmith combo with their Lacrima, with the Fabled Levilazebul. That has definitely happened before. So yeah, this card's crazy. It's also very important. This card is a level 10 Light Fiend. So we already discussed, you know, why Light Fiend is important because of Agnunde. Also, you can make Fabled Levilazebul untargetable with Sequence, which is very funny. But the fact that it's a level 10 Light Fiend is important too, because a Fiendsmith in Paradise requires you to control a level 7 or higher Light Fiend monster you control, which most of the time is going to be Desiree or Rextremende for any other deck. For this deck, you get to use Fabled Levilazebul instead. So Fabled Levilazebul is not only a very strong disruption, perhaps one of the strongest forms of monster disruption, it also lets you make Fiendsmith in Paradise's on-field effect live. So you get the full board wipe with the Fiendsmith in Paradise as well. And then when the Fiendsmith in Paradise goes to the graveyard, you know, you get another send by sending Desiree too. So just getting Levilazebul plus Paradise gives you like what 4+ interruptions right there, because the double steal of the Agnunde, and then you get the double send with the Fiendsmith in Paradise. And I'll show you like the combo lines where there are several combo lines, almost the majority of 2-card combos. Basically, anytime you open a Primite card, you can make a Fabled Levilazebul. And if you open a Primite card plus like a Fiend, plus any access to Engraver or Tract, like if you hard open a Fiendsmith card plus a Tract or an Engraver, you get to end on a Fabled Levilazebul with a Fiendsmith in Paradise on the field. Like that's actually extremely hard to play through. For like that like most decks do not play through board wipe plus double steal plus like additional interruptions plus hand traps and what's forth. And honestly, I didn't even optimize the combos yet. Like that's how broken this deck is. I was able to get like all this win streak, and I didn't even do the combo properly because I don't think anybody else is playing this deck. So I had to fucking map out the combos myself, and you know, I'm not a genius like that. So like I didn't do the combo completely 100% optimal, which I will point out in the replay. But even still, there are lines that a lot of people, I guess, will know the lines now with Rextremende with Fiendsmith. By the way, if you're not playing Rextremende in any Fiendsmith build, I'm not gonna say you're behind, because like it wasn't a very well known. These weren't very well known lines to begin with, so like it's not like it was publicly available, or it's not like it was like very out there. But yes, Rextremende lines are very good now. So if you don't know the Rextremende Fiendsmith lines, this video will also show you how to do those. But basically, Rextremende allows you to end with a Fiendsmith in Paradise on field instead of just in graveyard. So you get to end with the board wipe. And that, in combination with the Fabled Levilazebul with this deck, means that you can guarantee you end on a level 7 or higher Light Fiend to make the Paradise live. And also, there's like lines where you can end on both Fabled, Levilazebul, plus Rextremende on the field. So not only do they have to deal with your 2 rungs, they got to deal with like a towers on the field as well, which is like, I mean, that's like almost no deck can like actually play through that board completely. And yeah, so all those reasons are why I think Fabled Levilazebul is, for this deck in particular, is better than Baron. Because also the majority of the time that you make Fabled Levilazebul, you're gonna make it with the Primate Lordly Load summoning the Angel Trumpeter from your deck. And after you use Lordly Load to summon the Angel Trumpeter, you can't use special monster effects anymore. So the Baron doesn't even help. You can't even use the Baron effect the turn you make Baron most of the time, because you're making your level 10 Synchro after Lordly Load. So that doesn't even really help. So like all those reasons are why I'm not, if you notice, I'm not playing Baron in this deck. I'm playing Fabled Levilazebul over it, and this is the only deck that I think that's correct in. So yeah. Anyway, that was the main thing about this deck. Like, that's the main reason why, the main interaction built this deck around. The rest of this deck is actually a fairly standard Fiends of Primite deck, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If you've seen my other videos, also it's very similar. It's like the engine itself. Like, I'm playing 3 vanillas because like the driver is obviously not necessary. It's only there because I'm playing Gamma, but you know, Gamma's like I think the best hand trap in the game right now, so that's why I'm playing it. But yeah, the Fiendsmith and the Prime engine is very standard. It's like 1 Lurie, 1 Lacrima, triple Primite Ether Barrel, double Engraver, triple Tract, triple Lordly Load, 1 Roar, 1 Drill Beam, 1 Fiendsmith in Paradise. Also of note is that this deck plays around. This is like one of the best decks at playing through Droll. Like Droll, honestly, it usually doesn't affect your end board that much at all, especially because most of the time, turn 1, you should be going for Primite Roar over Primite Drill Beam to play around certain hand traps. Which is like, this is also like the only Primite deck where I think you would prioritize getting Roar over Drill Beam in. Even if you have like Roar, even if you already have like Engraver and a Track in hand, it's still probably correct in this format to search Roar with Primate Lordly Load over Drill Beam because of the prevalence of Droll. So like if you add Drill Beam with Lordly Load and then you get Droll, then you actually can't do your Fiendsmith combo. Whereas if you add Roar with Primate Lordly Load and then they Droll you, you still get to do full Fiendsmith combo. And if you have a Engraver in hand, it's you can even use that because you can potentially use that. Well, okay, if under Droll, maybe not, but like under other hand traps, like if, for example, if your Requiem gets ashed, usually for Primate decks, when your Requiem gets ashed, you can't end on anything crazy anymore at that point. But in this deck, if you have like Engraver or a Droll or a Track in hand, and you go Roar first, and then even if your opponent ashes your Requiem, if you have one of Engraver or Track in hand, you can still end on Fabled Levilazebul through an Ash Blossom on a Requiem, which is like traditionally a very big choke point in this deck. Is now something that you can actually play through a lot easier, because you can just dump Engraver, add Tract, and then like Tract, add whatever, summon back the Engraver, and then the Lordly Load will summon the Angel Trumpeter from deck, and you can still end on the Fabled Levilazebul. And like if you open Tract, you can just Tract, add Engraver, and then pitch Engraver, and then summon back the Engraver, and you still have the level 10 synchro access through an Ash. But yeah, so turn 1, most times I just search Roar, and then Drill Beam is like as a follow-up. I almost considered cutting Drill Beam at one point, because I've noticed I just went for Roar so often that like Drill Beam was just basically a turn 3 thing. At that point, I just felt like I didn't need it, but it does come up when you're when you do get hand traps weirdly in other game states, or like if you get Fool Lost or Max Seed mainly, and then you don't want to go to your Fiendsmith combo, then it's okay. It's acceptable to add Drill Beam and play it Primite Control with Sans Fiendsmith like as a Sans Fiendsmith, no Fiendsmith as a backup plan. But yeah, that's like the main engine. It's very standard. You know, I'm also not playing. Some people have been saying to play Sanct with Engraver to, you know, play around Droll better. I think Sanct sucks. Like, this is the reason why Track is so good in this one is in particular is because you always use Track's fusion effect. Okay, this is in order to do the Regimented lines, you need the Track Engrave to hard make the Lacrima without using sequence. So you always want Track Engrave. So you will always be searching Track, even if you technically playing more in the Droll, it's still worth it in my opinion. And like Sanct doesn't give you enough light fiends to do your plays. Like, you're gonna end up with like having to shuffle back a Lacrima or like a Requiem Engrave, and then you can't have access to Paradise. It's like they play around Droll, but the combo you do to play around Droll isn't even that good to begin with. And like drawing this by itself, it's also like it's actually way worse because you're just down even more light fiends if you don't Engraver search Sanct. Like, if you go Engraver search Sanct, it can be okay. If you hard draw Sanct, the Sanct itself is like it's so mid because you just have no light fiends access. So yeah, that's why it's whatever. You're not afraid to roll with this deck. And then yeah, the non-engine. So like the non-engine is also like a decision point because it matters. Like, obviously Ash, Maxi that are given, and then in this format, I guess Droll is kind of a given. Droll is also good in this deck because this deck Drolls itself very easily. You only like ever add twice in your combo at all, and that's once with Lordly Low and then once with Engraver or Tract. And if you don't even have Engraver or Tract, then you add one time. So like you can just roll yourself and like almost do your entire combo normally without like carrying the world. So you know that's your anti-Maxi, that's your anti-Fuvelost line, but also like, you know, Droll is a thing. And then I'm still playing Valor, Imperm, and Nibiru because this is a deck that plays 18 hand traps. That's 18 hand traps. If your deck cannot play like 18 hand traps, it's probably correct to not play Valor and even consider cutting Imperm because these cards don't do anything by themselves. The point is to pair them with Nibiru because Nibiru also does not do anything by itself, but Nibiru paired with one of these actually does a number. It's one of the few 2-card combinations that actually can completely end turns. That or like Ash plus Droll, for example. Like if you like Droll and Nibiru are like high impact hand traps, but Nibiru is only high impact if it's paired with another hand trap. So if you combine a low impact hand trap like Valor or Imperm with a high impact hand trap like Droll and Nibiru, then that's when you can actually start having your hand traps actually do something. Because even opening Valor plus Imperm usually is not enough to like slow down your opponent to an adequate amount that I like. But if you draw one of Nibiru or one of Droll with an Imperm or Valor, then you have a chance. Same with Ash, and like Gamma is like pretty much the best hand trap because it's like only hand trap that has a chance to do something significant by itself. Like, for example, your opponent goes Normal Summon Girsu. Normally Normal Summon Girsu plays through 2 hand traps by itself, but Gamma is the one hand trap that just stops the Girsu play entirely because you negate the Girsu, you prevent them from dumping Heart with the Girsu, and then you also destroy the Girsu so they can't link it off into Galatea. So like that answers the one Girsu by itself. It's like the one few hand traps that one for one exchanges with a Girsu play completely. So yeah, and Girsu is like the best starter in the game right now, the best normal summon. So it plays through the most hand traps. So yeah, also very easy to use on your turn because you clear a board for Roar often. So like it's very, and then you know you're going to go into Requiem, which also keeps your board clear. So very easy to protect yourself from Ash and Maxi and Fua with Gamma. Also, if people are playing Fua, people tend to drop Fua in the draw or standby phase. So that's just that's just more free real estate for Gamma. I'm not playing Fua Lost itself because it could be incorrect. I consider playing Fua, but this is still a mid-range deck at the end of the day. If you get interrupted a little bit and you don't end on your full end board with like everything set up, then you still depend on drawing your hand traps as part of your end board. This deck does play 18 hand traps, so like you want your hand traps to do something. But if you go first and you open Fua, the Fua actually just does nothing, and this deck doesn't like have a way to make use of discards anyway. This isn't like Blue-Eyes with Wishes, where you can just discard the Fua for Wishes and like be fine. So if you have this in hand going first, it actually just has no use to you. So yeah, I decided cutting this. Something I did consider playing again is Lancia. Although Lancia, this depends on obviously how prevalent Maliss is and how prevalent Orcust is. If Maliss and Orcust are like over 50% of the meta, I might consider putting Lancia back in, because Lancia is really good against those two decks in particular. And those two decks are also conveniently the hardest decks to hand trap normally. They play through their most traditional hand traps. So you hit them with something like a silver bullet, like a Lancia. That's like one of your only ways that you really have a chance. Although Maliss, I've been able to deal with Maliss just by drawing like multi combination of hand traps, more so because this deck can afford to run that many hand traps. But like if this was like another deck, I would probably be considered playing Lancia. But so Lancia could come back in too, because it also protects you from called by and stuff like that. But yeah, that's like the main deck, main engine and non-engine. The extra deck, there's a few effect slots, but like Lacrima, Necroquip, Desiree, Rex Tremende, Levilazebul, DDD, Wave King Caesar, Typhon, one Requiem at least, Moon, Sequence, and Agnum. These are all required. These are all non-negotiable, so they're just in here. The flex spots are like the 1 SP, the 1 Chaos Angel, the M7, and the second Requiem. You don't need 2 Requiem technically, but this is like a more purist. Like this deck depends more on Fiendsmith plays than most other decks that play the Fiendsmith engine. So like having 2 does come up. It also makes it easier to choose what you shuffle back with the Engraver. You don't have to always shuffle back the Requiem. Like you can keep the Requiem engraved, and then have it save it as an equip, so you can start your turn with Requiem engraved, so that you can equip it to an Engraver and then try to clear something else before you go to your Fiendsmith plays. And like sometimes, like over the course of like 2 turns, if your first Requiem gets ashed, you pass it back to turn 3 because your deck plays 18 hand traps to try and keep you alive. Then you having the second Requiem helps when your first one gets ashed, for example. So I still think second Requiem is very important in this particular, in Primite Fiendsmith in particular. Then SP, I mean, like SP is actually not necessary, but like it's SP, and like since this deck technically has 4 flex spots, one of them should probably go to SP. Chaos Angel, Ryzeal, you'll see in like one of the replays why Chaos Angel is so good, but yeah, this is like the best. Against Ryzeal, this comes up so often, and it's so hard for Ryzeal to out a light Chaos Angel. You like rarely even make a light Dark Chaos Angel. Just making a light Chaos Angel is so hard for decks to out, especially Ryzeal. Like this is like, obviously if they don't have cross, then like Chaos Angel is just clearing their detonator completely. Like you can make a Chaos Angel without even activating an effect with a monster on field. Like that. Like that's how good this card is against Ryzeal. And this deck plays more combinations. This deck plays more level 4 light or dark monsters, i.e. this deck plays like a driver that's a level 6 light and Dibity as a level 4 light. So you even have more ways to make Chaos Angel in this deck than most other decks. Also, another way to make Chaos Angel is Fiendsmith Rex Tremende plus Lurie, which that happens to come up if you play Rex Tremende too. So yeah, this card, if Ryzeal ever falls off, like I guess you could cut it, but like Ryzeal currently is like probably the most played deck, so I ain't doing that. And M7 is like maybe the most cuttable. I play M7. I've never added back a hand trap with M7. Okay, I've never used it in a grinder game. I use M7 strictly as a combo piece. So like when you do your normal combo, if you do like your normal Fiendsmith combo, but you don't have access to Engraver or Tract, so basically you're starting with Roar or you're starting with any 2 monsters into Moon. I use M7 I make M7 with Necroquip plus Engraver to add back the Engraver to add the Tract to my hand, so that I can Tract and add Lurie and discard Lurie. That way I get an extra Light Fiend in the graveyard. That way I can use Sequence and still have both Lacrima and still keep both Lacrima plus Requiem Engraver, so I can still send a Paradise on my opponent's turn, but also get to use Sequence. And you use Sequence in order to make Fabled Levilazebul half the time, because Lacrima is a level 6 Light Fiend. But yeah, so technically you don't need M7, but like, it does. And if you get trolled, obviously that line doesn't work, but still, I've seen myself make M7 a few number of times just to make the combo slightly better, just again to squeeze an extra interruption in your combo. But yeah, technically you don't need it. But yeah, anyways, that's enough yapping about the deck. I think I yapped on for way too long. But yeah, I'll show you I will show you the power of Angel Trumpeter in these replays. Okay, so this is sort of the turn 1 combo you want to go for. Now, I admit I didn't optimize this 100%, so there is a small thing you can do to make this slightly better, which I'll bring up once we get there. But yeah, basically, if you open a Primite card plus Fiendsmith access, you can plus like a Tract or an Engraver, you can do the full combo. So Lorry Load, add Ether Barrel, and I set the Drill Beam because I have Lurry in hand, so it's funny because now I can Tract, add Deputy in my hand, and then discard the Lurry, and then that makes my Drill Beam live, just like that. I don't have to do anything fancy. So now the Lurry comes back, and now we go into Requiem, and then Requiem into Lacrima. Like, you've seen this before, right? But then Lacrima dumps Engraver. So of note, if you open Tract, obviously you're gonna do Lacrima, dump Engraver. But if you start with Engraver actually, and you already have an Engraver in graveyard, you should use Lacrima and dump Paradise instead, the trap card instead of Engraver, because it'll become very obvious later. But yeah, then we're gonna put back the Lurry with the Engraver, summon back the Engraver, and here you're gonna use Tract to fuse the Engraver and the Lacrima to go into Lacrima, and then Lacrima is going to special summon back the Engraver. And here is where there's a small optimization you can do. So instead of linking off Lacrima plus Engraver into sequence, you should actually link Ether Barrel plus Lacrima into sequence. Because like normally we're used to linking off our Light Fiends because we usually need all the Light Fiends in the graveyard that we can get, so we can make a Desiree, because Desiree needs a lot of materials. But we're not making Desiree with sequence. We're actually making Rex Tremende. And Rex Tremende's requirements are actually uses less Light Fiends. It just requires a Fiendsmith fusion and a fusion or link monster. So we're going to shuffle back our Lacrima and Requiem. So this Engraver actually doesn't need to be in the grave yet. So because we don't need this in the grave yet, therefore we can use the Ether Barrel as link material. Because you'll see this Ether Barrel actually doesn't end up doing anything. So like I actually kind of just wasted this as a material. I could have made better use of it, but yeah. Anyway, sequence is gonna make the aforementioned Rex Tremende, and then don't use its effect. Usually, its first effect doesn't really matter. You can use it to thin out your deck if you have like a brick in hand, but like we don't really have a brick in hand. DBD is here to make the Drill Beam live, so. Instead, we're gonna link off the Rex Tremende into Agnamde, and then the Rex Tremende is gonna add the Engraver back to hand. So you can see why I said if we start with Engraver, you dump Paradise. That way, the Rex Tremende can add Paradise directly to hand. Because we started with Tract, we can add the Engraver back to hand with the Rex Tremende, and we can simply use Engraver to add Paradise later. So either way, this Rex Tremende, when it gets linked off, is essentially going to allow us to add Paradise to our hand as part of our end board. And next, I'm going to use Agnamde. I'm going to summon back the Rex Tremende, and then I link off. I use Rex Tremende to go into a Necromancer Princess. You can see why now it's kind of weird, because this Ether Barrel again does not do anything. If we linked out the Ether Barrel and kept the Engraver on field, we could have just used the Engraver to go into Necromancer Princess instead of the Rex Tremende, and then we could keep the Rex Tremende on field as well. So this ideal end board should also have a Rex Tremende on field too. But yeah, anyways. Engraver, discard, and because we have the Necro, we get to draw an extra card off of the Engraver too. Draw on max, nice. And then I thinned my deck out with Ether Barrel. Again, you saw the Ether Barrel didn't do anything, so yeah, you should have linked that off. And then we use Lorry Load to summon the Angel Trumpeter from deck. That's where the Angel Trumpeter comes in. Then you can make a Fabled Levilazebul. You can equip Sequence to the Fabled to make it untargetable, and then set Paradise. And yeah, that is basically like the 2-card combo. Essentially, you always add Paradise to hand with the Rex Tremende, and you also have a Fabled Levilazebul on field. You have a Lacrima and a Agnamde in graveyard, so you can use the Fabled Levilazebul twice. You can just revive it with the Agnamde, and you have 2 sends with the Fiends of Paradise. One is a full board wipe. The other one is by sending Desiree to the graveyard, and also we had a Drill Beam because we just have we drew the hard to the lure, so we could maintain a vanilla in hand too. So yeah, this is quite a bit of interruptions. And then Maxi on top of that, because why not? Why shouldn't we be allowed to? Anyways, our opponent goes Lurry into attracting the Lurry themselves, which we have an Ash for that, so they're going to be a bit upset. They're going to go into Requiem, and then Requiem is going to get Ashed, and then they're going to normal summon Lacrima, which I'm going to steal with my own Fabled Levilazebul. They already linked off into Requiem, so it's not that big of a deal. All this does is prevent them from getting Engraver in graveyard, which is fine. But yeah, now you can see the Lacrima, I'm going to revive the Agnum Day. And then the Agnum Day is going to revive the Fabled Levilazebul. And now the Fabled Levilazebul is recharged and I can use it again. And then the Tactics is going to get Drill Beamed. And yeah, next they're going to activate Prayers, which is like a hell of a card to use in that situation. Speaking of a hell of a card, they added Wosu. Well, Wosu. Wosu wrecks my shit because Wosu tributes. It's a kaiju. It tributes, so it gets my Fabled Levilazebul off the field, so I can't use it again. And also, it makes my Fiendsmith Paradise dead if they manage to tribute my Fabled Levilazebul. So that's kind of not ideal. And then they're also going to use pre-prep to add the Habakiri. So now that I know that they have a Habakiri and they have like another reptile in hand, now I'm going to preemptively use Fiendsmith Paradise. I know this looks stupid because I literally just like send my own cards to the graveyard, but I need Fiendsmith Paradise in the graveyard. Okay, that way it's still alive. If they tribute my Levilazebul and my Fiendsmith Paradise is still face down on the field, then it's just dead. I just lose a Desiree Send for no reason. But yeah, now they're gonna Habakiris, summon Aramasa, and then I keep drawing because Maxi is a balance card. They add Murakumo. They're gonna mirror out the Murakumo by using the Habakiri, which is hella weird, by the way. I don't know why they sequence like that, because now the Habakiri also does not come back. I don't know about that. And then the Murakumo is gonna try and nuke my field. The Habakiri triggers, but it's not gonna revive itself. Then I use Fabled Levilazebul again. For some reason, they don't Wusu my Levilazebul. They let me use it again for some reason. I don't know if they thought this was like not a hard. I don't know if they thought this was a hard once per turn or not, because it's definitely not. And I am more than free to just discard a Dippity out of my hand because it's already served its purpose. And then I take the Murakumo, which is supposed to blow itself up, but it got negated by the Fabled Levilazebul. And now finally they finally tribute for Wolsu and now summon back they get the Futsu effect and they get the Murakumo effect. So the Murakumo comes back and the Futsu adds Ritual, and now they're gonna Ritual, which is like a hella weird line that they Ritual after the mirror. But now they summon back a Habakiri. At this point, it doesn't matter because I have a Nibiru in hand. Like, this is why Nibiru is so fucking broken when you go first, because there's no deck that's gonna be able to play through your board, any board for that matter, while also playing around Nibiru. So by the time they use all their resources to play through your board like this, we can Nibiru them, chain to the Ritual, and then they've already used all their once per turn effects, and the game is immediately over. Just like that. And yeah. Yeah. As Nibiru is like ironically a better card going first than it is going second. So this is another example of how to do the combo. So here, this hand is like good and kind of not that good because I opened one Engraver and double Tracked. So essentially this is like 3 copies of Tracked, which is, in most hands this is really redundant, but drawing these actually helps you play through hand traps. So I'm going to activate Lordly Load, and Lordly Load gets ashed, which is like, okay, cool, whatever, it's fine. I'm glad you ashed the Lordly Load over, my Tracked or my Requiem. So I'm going to Tracked, add Lurie. Always lead Track first if you have both Trapped and Engraver to play around Droll. Yeah, summon back Lurie into Requiem. And then Requiem go into Lacrima effect, get Imperm because they want to cut me off of Engraver. Joke's on them, I drew 3 copies of Engraver, so anyways, I'm first going to use the Tracked Engrave effect to fusion summon into Lacrima right now to get the Engraver out of my hand, because I could use Engraver to search Paradise right now, but that's a little risky, because if I use Engraver to search Paradise and I get Nibiru later on, then then the Paradise will be stuck in my hand, and that would not be good because I wouldn't have a Light Fiend, a level 7 or higher Light Fiend on field, and then the Paradise would just be dead, and I also wouldn't be able to send it to the graveyard, so I would be just down to interruption no matter what if I get Nibiru later on. So instead, I'm going to not use Engraver's effect to add yet. I'm just going to use Track first to fuse, and then Lacrima is going to special summon back the Engraver. And then I'm going to link off Engraver plus Lacrima into Sequence, and then Sequence is going to make Rex Tremende, putting back Requiem plus Lacrima. And then I used Rex Tremende's effect to dominate Requiem because it doesn't do anything, but I have a third track, I have a second track in hand. It's not doing anything anyway, so I might as well, use it to set up my grave a little bit. I don't know. Then we go into Agnum Day, and here Extra Mende is going to add back the Engraver, and we're going to use Agnum Day to summon back that Extra Mende. At this point, I'm free to use my Engraver's effect, because I now have a Extra Mende on the field. So now if they Nibiru me at any point, because I have Agnum Day plus Extra Mende, I can always use Lacrimo to summon back the Agnum Day to bring back the Extra Mende on my opponent's turn. That way I will always be able to make Paradise live. So now I can... first of all, we're going to make Necrotrip Princess to get a free draw. Then we can safely use Engraver for Paradise. And at this point, at any point if they Nibiru me after that point, like I can always make this Paradise live, so it's fine. It's fine to add. Then I shovel back Lurie, summon back Engraver, and then I use Angel Trumpeter, Roly Load, summon Angel Trumpeter, Engraver plus Trumpeter, go into Fabled Levilazebul, and I equip Sequence to make it untargetable, and I also equip the Requiem to give it another 600 attack, because, you know, why not, right? And then I set the Paradise. So yeah, this is essentially the full board through Ash plus Imperm. Admittedly, the Imperm was a bit sus, but, like, you know, it was not the worst play, because, you know, what are the chances that I open another Engraver in my hand, right? But yeah, anyways, they're gonna normal summon Gearsu, which this Gearsu is gonna get destroyed in like all types of ways. It gets droplet. I get dropleted, but like I also don't care about droplet, because, you know, I also have Imperm for the Gearsu, and at this point, if they make Galatea I have Ash, and I also have Fiendsmith in Paradise, so like I can send their whole field at any point. So like it really does not matter, and they just give up. They don't even let my Galatea get Ash and let me draw a card with the Necrotrip. They just they left, because they essentially threw 2 hand traps at Primite Fiendsmith, and those hand traps did nothing. That's not something that's not something that happens every day. Usually hand traps affect mid-range decks like this more than combo decks, but you know what? We'll take those. Okay, so this is a game where I actually don't get to really establish anything. So we're going first, and I get Perulia, which is very nice, because Perulia is literally just Upstart Goblin versus this deck, if that. But obviously my hand is not great, because we don't open no Primite cards, and this deck is several tiers lower if it doesn't open Primite. That's the main thing. It's like Primite is like the real power level of this deck. Anyways, my Requiem also gets Ash, so yeah, you know what's also bad about this? I have a Fiendsmith in Paradise in hand, which is not live, and it's stuck. It's stuck step, bro. So I'm gonna have to use Engraver, and I'm shuffle back the Lacrima, but this should already key them in on something. So like we're gonna go this, and then we're gonna go Requiem, and then Requiem plus Engraver into Necrotrip Princess, and yeah. So the fact that they should be keen on the fact that because I shuffle back Lacrima, I can't Lacrima summon the Requiem on their turn to send Paradise. So they don't have to play around Paradise 1, but then I should also key them in on what's in my hand, because you know, most decks that play Necrotrip Princess tend to play Fiendsmith in Paradise, and it's nowhere. Fiendsmith in Paradise is nowhere to be seen in the perspective of my opponent. Also, at least I do have Maxi, so I will Maxi in a draw phase to get another draw of Necrotrip, which you draw into track, which is decent. My opponent goes Ice Ryzeal, and then I Ash Ice Ryzeal. So like the entire point of the hand trap lineup here that I play is to prevent my opponent from adding Cross to their hand. Without Cross, Ryzeal is 100% beatable. It might arguably even be favored for my deck without Cross. But here's the thing: they hard draw Cross, they activate Cross. When hard draw Cross is the most obnoxious thing to deal with. There is no way to hand trap hard drawn Ryzeal Cross. Like there's just no hand trap that gets out of the hand if they hard draw it. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to deal with the Cross, which just makes this way more annoying. And then they're gonna use Ryzeal Detonator, and we draw into a Nibiru, which is not useful right now because we max seed them. So obviously they're not gonna play into Nibiru when they get max seed, but this will come in play into later turns. So yeah, now it's my turn, and here we're gonna have to just chew through 3 Detonator Negates. First of all, back what I said about Fiendsmith in Paradise, okay, and how I didn't have it, and how I shuffled back Lacrima so I couldn't send it. They should have an idea of what's in my hand right now, okay? And first of all, I set Fiendsmith in Paradise before activating a card. That should like immediately like spark something in the whatever brain you have, because why would I set a card knowing there's a detonator on the field? It must mean that I in some way want the card to be popped, right? Surely, logically, that's what it means, right? But my opponent just doesn't give a fuck, and they just pop the card I set in front of a detonator on purpose. So they just helped me out right there and let me get my Fiendsmith Paradise in the grave. Thank you very much. I don't know how I was gonna do that without you, but yeah. And now I also dump Luri and add Lacrima, and then I go Requiem. They don't negate anything with Cross, so now I summon Engraver, and this will. They really should have just negated Cross, like, with Cross probably, because this is gonna Fiendsmith Engraver now is gonna bait out the Cross anyways. So it's like, you know, whatever. You just got an extra Engraver out of my deck, I suppose, and you haven't used Cross yet, but. I suppose it's fair, because you just exchange a Detonator use for a Cross use. But then I summon back the Engraver, swinging back the other Engraver. And here I normal summon Lacrima, and I don't use this effect because I don't want to get popped. And then we go into Chaos Angel. And here's why this game just shows why Chaos Angel is so broken. So first of all, you know, Cross has to negate it, and then that lets me attack over the Detonator because they has their final material. And I set a call by. And now, like, Ryzeal versus 1 Chaos Angel challenge. Okay, let's see how they fare. So they're gonna draw 2, which you know it sucks that they get a cross, but this is the last time they're gonna get cross, because I'm gonna now Fiendsmith Paradise, send Desiree, and then Desiree is gonna send the cross, and we don't have to deal with the cross anymore. And once cross is gone, this matchup is significantly easier. But by the way, count how many times my Chaos Angel gets Meteorological aggregated this duel. So yeah, they're gonna add Sword Ryzeal, and then the Desiree is gonna send the cross, and without any way to recycle the cross, no, we got us in the bag. So they're gonna special Sword Ryzeal, add Ice Ryzeal. Again, I still don't really care. They're gonna go hard into Detonator because they don't even have anything to add. We're adding up cross apparently, and they're gonna normal summon Ice Ryzeal, and I'm just gonna call by Ice Ryzeal. I don't Valor Ice Ryzeal because if I Valor it, they can just chain pop, and that would not be as good. But yeah, they're one out at this point. If they don't hard draw Imperm, is to star set, what's it called? Star set Plasma Hole, if they run that. But we're just simply not gonna let them summon Star, and without that they don't have an out. So awesome. Now I get to summon back the Requiem in the end phase because they didn't use their battle phase yet, so I don't want to just get a run over a battle. And then I'm gonna use Requiem, and I get fucking Maxi. So like that's a little annoying because now I could go for game, but I don't. Going for game under Max C versus a 3 material Detonator, not really the smartest thing. So instead I'm just gonna enter battle phase, attack, get rid of 1 Detonator material, attack over the ice, and main phase 2. Using Graver, use Requiem effect. This is going to force out the Detonator, so now they only have 1 material on their Detonator left. And I feel pretty good about myself. Like, 1 material Detonator, no cross access. They still haven't established a way that they can out this Chaos Angel yet, which is all funny enough. Then they're going to go X, send a second Aggregator, so we get Aggregator on this Chaos Angel again. But doesn't really matter because they're gonna add Sword for the 3rd time this duel. Normal summon Fool Loss. I don't know why you normal summon Fool Loss, to be honest. That was kind of weird. I guess it doesn't really matter because Ice they can just special summon, but like I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't just normal summon Ice again. It's kind of weird. They're gonna special Sword, and then Sword is gonna add Ice. Like here, see, this is what I mean. Why did you normal summon the Fool Loss again? Dugaris. So the Dugaris actually does not matter at all. I know what's gonna happen. I know I'm gonna get their Detonator's gonna pop the Dugaris, but like that's fine. Honestly, like this, I don't care because in order to go for game, they have to play into Nibiru. They have no cross. They have no way to play around Nibiru. Nibiru automatically wins the game. I let them pop their own Dugaris to just waste the last material on Detonator suit. Because funnily enough, you'll see that this actually came up. So like I wasn't playing around this, but they sent Tachyon add Star Ryzeal. And they can't special summon the Star Ryzeal because they fucking used their last Detonator material to dodge Valor. So now their Detonator can't even special summon the Star. Like that's very funny. And then they're gonna special Ice, and then we can Nibiru them because the only card they have in hand is Star, which they can't fucking use. They already normal summon the Fool Loss for some reason. And yeah, it's over. My turn. I don't know if they forgot I had the Engraver engraved still, but yeah, Engraver special summon back. Yeah, that's game. Yeah, That's why I'm never cutting Chaos Angel in Fiendsmith decks until Ryzeal is out of the meta. So a lot of times you're not going to be able to do your full combo or even your half combo. Like you're going to have to settle for quarter combos sometimes, as like I did with this duel. So here I low reload, add Primite Roar. Like this is a pretty good hand, except they activate Fool Loss. And unfortunately for me, I don't play a crossout target. I don't play a Fool Loss for crossout, so I'm just gonna have to eat this Fool Loss, which is unfortunate. This happens when you don't play Fool Loss for crossout. Like you just sometimes don't have the right crossout target, and like it feels bad. But I still think I don't think it's worth playing Fool Loss if you don't think your deck supports it very well for a crossout target. So this is one of those unfortunate situations. But anyway, the funny thing is Primite Roar, you don't have to special summon. The special summon from deck is optional. So I just elect to not special summon, and instead I just normal summon Effort Barrel, set Drill Beam, and then Lordy Load summon out the driver to make the Drill Beam live to give my opponent 1 draw. And yeah, so despite getting Fool Lost, that means we're not accessing our Fiendsmith engine, because that would be too many draws, and we still end on a Primite Roar, Primite Roar is a good interruption against any deck that's not Maliss, and Drill Beam. So that's like 2 interruptions plus like a 3 non-engine for 1 Fool Loss draw. It's definitely not the worst. There are decks that could do there are decks that do a lot worse under Fool Loss than this play right here. So like this is still fine, and it gives us a chance still, despite getting stopped, despite not being able to do our full combo. Anyways, our opponent normal summons Lacrima, and normal summon Lacrima just gets absolutely destroyed by Primite Roar. Like it's like the best Primite Roar target you'll ever get, because you banish the Lacrima so they can't make the Requiem, and then they send Engraver, but because you banish the Lacrima, there's no Light Fiend Engrave, so the Engraver can't revive itself. And they did Foolish Burial for Heart Pourer, and then they activated Foolish Burial Goods, which, like, by the way, what kind of crazy ass who the fuck plays Foolish Burial Goods in Orcust to dump Orcust Crescendo? Like, what in the hell is that? And anyways, they're gonna go Heart Pourer, special summon Orcust Nightmare, and then the Orcust Nightmare is just gonna get Drill Beamed. And yeah, Orcust especially. Orcust has real trouble playing into the Primite engine, funnily enough, because they can't handle their bodies getting banished, because then they can't link them up, and they don't go to the grave to revive and use their grave effects and so on and so forth. By the way, if you're wondering what they're going to do with Crescendo, absolutely nothing, because they used their normal summon on Lacrima, so they literally could not add anything useful with Crescendo at that point. So like they actually just straight up lost to Primite Roar plus Primite Drill Beam. I didn't even have to use Imperm or Nibiru on that, but yeah, that's just an example of sometimes you play low to the ground with this deck. You can either combo off with the Fiendsmith stuff, or you can play low to the ground with the Primite stuff. You can just pivot one way or another, which is something that's not that it's not a given with playing a mid-range deck. A lot of mid-range decks just play one way, but this is a deck that can pivot between game plans a little bit. Alright, so here we have a matchup between Primite decks. This will determine what is the better Primite deck, Primite Blue-Eyes or Primite Fiendsmith. It's Blue-Eyes, but Blue-Eyes is the better deck. I'm willing to admit that Blue-Eyes is probably better than Fiendsmith, but we'll see how it goes in this game. So they're gonna go Spirit, and I unfortunately opened no hand traps, and this is like the one deck where I can feel okay not opening hand traps. I don't feel good. I still would prefer if I had a hand trap for the Effort Barrel, but because they didn't hard open Sage, thank God, they just have Seals plus Drill Beam plus. This is still not good, because Seals plus Drill Beam plus 3 hand traps is still quite a lot to deal with, unfortunately. That's the thing. If Blue Eyes doesn't open engine, it means they just open more non-engine. So this is still hard to deal with. But I open Drill Beam in my hand. So, and my top deck is a Lurry. So again, this is top decking. I draw Lurry so many times in these replays, and every time I draw Lurry, it's fucking broken. like it's like the best thing in the world. Like last game, you saw it let me make my Drill Beam live by adding Dippity to my hand. So I'm gonna guess what I'm doing. I'm gonna add Dippity to my hand. I'm gonna pitch Lurry, and then Lurry is going to special summon itself, and then yeah, I go into sequence. I don't force the Seals, because I know if you go into battle phase and try to force the Seals, you lose against Blue Eyes, because they get so much follow up. They get the Primite Effort Barrel back. They get their Blue Eyes engine because they summon what's it called? They summon Kaiser from deck. It's an uphill battle if it gets Basket their turn. So I'm actually trying to OTK them with this deck. Which yes, if you're wondering, this deck can OTK even with just Fiendsmith cards. But yeah, they're gonna drill beam my Lacrima, and then I'm gonna drill beam their drill beam. Like what month is this? Is this like fucking March or something? All these drill beams flying around. We got two like old school early 2025 decks doing it out here. But yeah, their drill beam gets drill beam, so that's nice. I get to send Engraver. I summon back the Engraver by putting back the Lurry, and here I force out the seals at this point. I equip Requiem to the Engraver, and then they have the seals now. Like they absolutely have to. So they do. They tribute seals, and they add the Engraver back to my hand, which that's wild, by the way. Adding Engraver back to my hand where I can just discard it. I know I used Tract already, but like that, it's whatever. But yeah, I haven't used my normal summon yet, so now I'm gonna use Tract. I'm gonna use Tract on both my Engravers, by the way, to go into Lacrima, and then Lacrima special back the Engraver. And here I go into Chaos Angel. I had multiple options, honestly. I could have gone to what's it called, Caesar, to play around the Biru, but obviously you don't want to do when they have a set card, because then you lose the imperm nib. So instead I have to go to make Chaos Angel first to get the back row out of the way, and their back row is True Light, actually. So that's good for me. That's one less interruption. If it was an imperm, it was fine, but True Light, it's whatever. The True Light is gone forever, so now even if they somehow survive, they don't have a grind game anymore. They summon back the Blue-Eyes, and now I normal summon the Dippity. I go into Sequence, and then I Lacrima summon Shovel back Dippity for 1200. Then I use Sequence, make Rex Tremende, and here's what's neat about it. About Rex Tremende. Going second, Rex Tremende's effect can be used offensively. So I use Rex Tremende, I discard the Fiendsmith in Paradise, and I send Desiree. You can send any light fiends, so Rex Tremende can just send Desiree to clear out a card. I go into Item Day, and here I go Rex Tremende, add back the Paradise. So if somehow I don't win on that turn, which I was gonna OTK on that turn, by the way, I have fucking Rex Tremende and Agnum Day, which deals piercing on the 0 attack Kaiser. But even if something goes wrong, I still have a Paradise set up with a Rex Tremende on my opponent's turn, if for some reason they lip that. They were not going to lip that, but you know, just in case too. So here we're going second, and my opponent's plays, like, they don't make sense to me. First of all, this hand is broken. Droll, Gamma, Imperm, like that's insane. Plus Lurry again. I drew Lurry, and guess what? Lurry, hard draw Lurry, it's gonna be broken this game too. Well, yeah, they normal summon Primera, which I'm like, Centur-Ion and this economy, what in the world? So I imperm it, and they always have this extender anyways. It doesn't matter what you have apparently versus Centur-Ion. Then they go into first of all, where the fuck is the Trudea? Why would you go Gargoyle? So now you use Gargoyle to go into Primera Primus, and now you chain block the Primera Primus against my Gamma. I'm like, at this point I was suspecting, is my opponent hacking? How the hell did they know to play around Gamma? Like, what in the world? If they went Trudea, the Trudea would have gotten Gamma, and their turn would have ended. Instead, they chose to go into Gargoyle first. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to draw anyways, and then they're going to chain, like, Oath. Well, not chain, but they're going to Oath summon Atri, special Atri. And then they're going to special Druid's Worm, banishing their Trudea. And what the fuck endboard is this? Like, it's like they knew I had Gamma in hand. I didn't reveal it off a toggle. I didn't. There's no, like, the last thing I could have gammaed was the Druid's Worm, and I wasn't gonna gamma a Druid's Worm summon from hand, banishing their own Trudea. Like, what the fuck? Maybe I should have, because I didn't know they were gonna end on nothing. Like, they didn't even make a fucking Baron. They didn't do shit. Like, this is their endboard. I'm like, you know what? Because this is their endboard, is actually annoying, because it plays around Gamma, because now I have to summon a monster. Now this Gamma is gonna be fucking dead. It's what I thought. But yeah, I'm gonna normal summon Lacrima send the Paradise, just so that if they do trigger stand up, I get to send with Paradise. This was probably a misplay, by the way. I probably should have send an Engraver, because this Paradise ends up not doing anything anyways. But yeah, I go into Requiem, and here I'm like, so I was worried about them going into Chaos Angel, and then double send of Druid's Worm plus Band with Chaos Angel. That would have ended my turn. Like, straight up, they would have won if they just waited a little bit and waited to go Druid's Worm plus to make Chaos Angel with Atri plus Druid's Worm. Instead, on summon of Requiem, they decide to go into Legacia. They have to go Legacia because Legacia doesn't target, so I can't dodge with Requiem. So they're gonna use Legacia. I trigger Paradise for fun. Then they use Legacia effect, and then I chain Requiem, and then they Ash me, and I'm like, fuck yeah! I don't know how that happened, but in somehow, some way, this game state ended up in a way where I could trigger Gamma on my turn. So yeah, nice. And you know what's also nice about this? Driver's 2500, and Requiem summons Engraver. And now because Driver is the monster with the highest attack on my board, they have to pop the Driver, so I get to keep my fucking Engraver. Then I send Desiree. I send Desiree, but I actually don't use Desiree's effect because actually I don't want to use it right now. So I just send the Desiree for fun. But yeah, I equip the Requiem and I go Requiem. I'm gonna send the Legacia. I know that's gonna summon back the Primite Primus, but I don't use Desiree because I want to use the Desiree on the Primite Primus. So now I go into sequence and I check this out. Okay, so we're gonna go sequence. Put back the Desiree and the Requiem to go into Rex Tremende. Okay, and next we use Rex Tremende, discard Lurie. Rex Tremende, it discards. It does not send from hand to grave, it discards. So drawing Lurie is fucking broken as shit because you can go Rex Tremende, discard Lurie, and then send Desiree, and that's gonna trigger Desiree and Lurie. So now I'm gonna shovel back the Lacrima, and then I'm gonna send the Primite Primus with Desiree because it can't be destroyed by battle. In case you didn't know. And summon back Lurie. And in case you also didn't know, okay, so Rex Tremende 9 plus Lurie 1. I mentioned this before. Rex Tremende plus Lurie can also make a Chaos Angel, like that. The levels line up perfectly. So anytime you draw Lurie, you just make a free Chaos Angel with this deck. And then yeah, we're gonna Chaos Angel banish the Druid's Worms. Not worry about it. And then the Rex Tremende is gonna add back the Engraver to my hand because I haven't used Engraver's effect yet. So now I'm gonna use Engraver. Engraver add track, and then I'm going to special Engraver to put back the Lurie. That way my track is live, so I can add Lurie and send Lurie again, and special Lurie a second time. And then we go into I mean they're dead anyways. But yeah, that's that was neat. That was a neat sequence of plays that I've never done before. But that was only possible because you played Rex Tremende. But yeah, doing all that stuff first, and then getting tracked later to use tracked at the end of your combo is actually like something you can do with this deck apparently. Okay, and now we boot up the circus music, which I would play if it weren't for YouTube copyright. But yeah, there's a lot of gas leaking during this this game. So my opponent goes normal summon Symbol Skeleton. You know, the best Orcust normal summon, and as you can see here, we open five Handtraps and zero Sharders whatsoever. So I throw a Veiler at the Galatea, and they call by it. I'm like, psych! I got 4 more where that came from. Nice call by. So yeah, this is probably gonna end their turn because they normal summoned fucking Symbol Skeleton, and yeah, they're gonna set 2. And on my turn, I draw a Primite Roar, which is normally good, except my opponent hard drew the Crescendo. So yeah, I got fucked right there. I have no engine, so I'm yeah, where I'm just. I can't do nothing to this Galatea. I'm just gonna have to Veiler. I'm gonna have to imperm it again next turn. Except I'm not because they drew Striker. They drew Hornedrones. My man is playing. My man's is playing Striker Orcust in the year of our Lord and Savior 2025. So yeah, they're gonna go Kagari to add back the Hornedrones, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really sure what this accomplishes, but yeah, they don't even use Galatea effect. They just link off into the other Galatea, then use Galatea to banish the Crescendo to revive itself to pitch the Hornedrones. Here I will imperm the other Galatea Eye because I not. Oh yeah, I impermed. Yeah, you imperm the Galatea Eye because they technically they don't have a. They put themselves in a very awkward situation where they don't have a banished machine monster, so they can't actually use the link to Galatea, and because both of their Galateas are on the field, both their Orcust monsters, they can't banish the Symbol Skeleton. So yeah, they actually can't use the Galatea link 2 right now, which is very funny. So they have to link it off into a long Gears 2. And here I got a bit impatient. Like I just Nibiru'd when they entered battle phase because I was like getting pretty low on life points, but that didn't work out because they just go into in Leo Girsu, and then they add the Crescendo back, and then they put Battle Trend on Seal My Nib, and I end up taking more life points damage than I would have normally if I didn't Nibiru. So yeah, that was great. Now I'm at 400, and I can't use Primite Roar, even though I only play one Primite Roar, so like that doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, I top deck a fucking Call by the Grave, which is excellent. I draw 0 normal summonable monsters at this point, so I mean I am going to normal summon Drill and Lockbird. Because they did play into Typhon at the very least, so I can Typhon attack over the Inlo Gear Suit. There's some skeleton advantage for some reason, and so they can't bring it back. And then I want to use Typhon to bounce back my own Nibiru, and they're not gonna let me have my own Nibiru back. I like it's not that serious. I can't even use my fucking Nibiru even if I add it back to my hand. Like it's fine. So I'm gonna set Call by the Grave, and they're going to Galatea, which at this point I'm called by like to Galatea, so you know we're still 0 progress being made on this game state for either player at this point still, and yeah, their top deck is nothing. So they're gonna attack over my Typhon. So now my opponent's this is like so down bad. I have 0 cards. My opponent's beating me down with my own Nibiru. Like what is this game state? Thankfully, I top deck literally the best card on my deck. Like this is actually the best card on my deck right now. Well. It would have been if I could use Primite Roar, but I can't use Primite Roar because it's for several reasons. So I just have to add Effort Barrel, put set Drill Beam, and then Lord Reload, summon out Dippity, and then I use Effort Barrel. So this is like really stupid, but I have to use Effort Barrel to fucking send it to the grave to get it off the field. Because if I just leave the Effort Barrel in attack mode, my opponent is just going to enter battle phase and attack over my Effort Barrel, and that's going to force on my Drill Beam, which is stupid. So instead, I am going to just sack the Effort Barrel so I don't have an attack position monster, so my opponent can't just kill me through fucking entering battle phase. But it's still bad because like there's a very simple solution. Okay, my opponent will back here. Okay, all they have to do is enter battle phase, attack over my Dippity, and the game is over. Instead, they normal summon Gear Suit buttons. Well, I still have the Dippity on the field, which means I get to Drill Beam banish the Gear Suit. When they like what is this gameplay like? That's that literally they could have. I'm pretty sure my opponent could have won the game like several times over. Also, Master Duel, what are you doing? Hello. This is weird. Whoa! Are you guys seeing? I'm seeing this right now. This is it's not loading the end screen of the duel. Hello? Master Duel? Okay, well anyways, we're not gonna see the end screen, but you guys know what happened. Oh. Cool. Okay, yeah, you guys know, you guys would have known what happened even if this fucking that was weird. Yeah, this is not even Master Duel could handle this fucking replay because of how shit it was. So yeah, it's probably best to just leave it at that. Okay, so this is a game where we're going second versus Maliss, and you want to see how you beat Maliss going second? You open 3 hand traps. I'm sorry, like there's no really other way to say it. You just gotta open the right hand traps versus Maliss. So this deck playing 18 hand traps, you know, has an advantage in that regard. So they're gonna the limited Maliss in Underground, by the way, special summon the Dormouse, and well, we do have a Veiler for the Dormouse, so I am gonna Veiler the Dormouse, and yeah, then they're going to go Druid's Worm, banish the Veiler because they realize that if they link up the Dormouse and banish the Dormouse doesn't come back because they already used its effect, so that's cool. And then they're going to link up the Dormouse still after banishing my Veiler, and then they're going to trigger backup. Thankfully, I have an Ash, so I can Ash the backup. You don't want them to do anything here because they could either add a Wizard or they could add a second name, dump the name, make SP banish the name to summon the name back, and I can't in from that because you know SP has text. But yeah, if you Ash this, then they can't really do much here. Like they can go into Splash Mage. I'd say they can't do much because I have a 3rd hand traps. Nobody expects the 3rd hand trap. So yeah, after 3 hand traps, we finally stopped our opponent from doing anything. They can't really Splash Mage because Druid's Worm doesn't do anything. Their best place to make SP pass. They for some reason go into Transco Talker, and Transco Talker has text where it says you can't special summon non-Cyberse monsters the turn you activate this effect. So it's actually just a whole turn lock, which is how I think locks should probably be at this point, because like non-full turn locks are just trolling because it's so easy to play around. But yeah, now they can't use Transco's effect because they summon Druid's Worm. So there's the anti-synergy right there. Druid's Worm locks you out of Transco. That is clearly enough of a limitation, right, for this deck. But yeah, anyways, I draw a Lordy Load off the Effort Barrel, so that's nice. I normal summon Effort Barrel first to try and play around something. Then I add Lordy Load. So it's annoying because I harsh the Deputy. So I could have alternatively normal summon Deputy and try to go into Requiem, but I don't want to get hosed by Ash like that. And I guess leading Lordy Load, they kind of baited for Ash, so I guess they might have not had Ash anyways. I probably should have normal summoned Deputy, honestly. But at this point, also, I also could just Drill Beam the Transco Talker and then reset the Drill Beam anyways. And then I was going to Lordy Load and then they're going to Ash. So they have Ash anyways. Okay, so that's a weird Ash, by the way. Imagine ashing the Lordy Load second effect, not the first effect. So they're down to one card, and yeah, I was trying to, summon Deputy from my hand, and then Deputy go into Requiem to summon Lactima to send a Paradise on their turn. And I still have a reveal for Drill Beam because I had Lordy Load, but for some reason they ashed this Deputy. So I guess it was smart on my part to not go for Requiem because I didn't realize they held the Ash. But yeah. Anyways, they're gonna go TB11, and TB11 sucks here because again, Dormouse is limited, so they can't summon a second Dormouse. They have to summon White Rabbit, which White Rabbit sucks in this situation. They probably should have summoned Chessy Cat. I'm gonna be honest, because Chessy Cat, if they draw a Maliss card, actually is really annoying. Because then I have to fucking Drill Beam the Chessy Cat if they drew a Maliss card. And then they still have a Maliss card in hand plus the Chessy Cat. They probably would have won the game at that point. I fucking hate that they would have won the game if they didn't misplay. But instead, they summon White Rabbit, and this White Rabbit doesn't do anything. So then they're gonna normal summon Droll. They're gonna go Droll into Almirage, and I'm gonna Drill Beam the Almirage. Nice. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, just open 3 Handtraps versus Maliss and like 2 starters, and you're good. Easy, right? So yeah, look, I know this is like the 15th Fiendsmith deck that I've uploaded on this channel. Sue me, Fiendsmith is a versatile engine that you can play in a lot of decks, but I think out of all the Fiendsmith decks I've played, I think this is the one Fiendsmith deck that I've had the most fun with. Just because, like, you're unironically playing Angel Trumpeter in 2025, and like, it's an argument to be made that this is actually like a good way to play this deck. It might be like maybe even optimal, arguably, maybe not. Okay, so last format I would have said, I actually would have argued for Angel Trumpeter being optimal in Fiendsmith Primite, because Fabled Levilazebul is good against Ryzeal and Maliss. And last format, when it was just Maliss and Ryzeal, you couldn't make high Wave King Caesar and feel good about it, because half the time your opponent would just X an Aggregator, and then your entire like combo like sucks because your Caesar gets negated. So like back then, when you couldn't really decide whether Caesar was going to be good or not, making Levilazebul was a good compromise, because Levilazebul is good versus both Maliss and Ryzeal. So you don't have to worry about making Levilazebul and then just going X and Aggregator. If they X and Aggregator, you Levilazebul take their X, negate their search, and take their level 4 body off their field. Like, that's very good. That's way better than your High King Caesar doing nothing. Now it's a bit more arguable because Caesar got a lot better with Orcust and Mitsurugi and cards like that, so that now Wave King Caesar is going to be good against more matchups. Still sucks versus Ryzeal. Still sucks versus X and Aggregator, so like there's still one matchup where it's still not as good, but it's a lot better in other matchups. But Levilazebul, unlike Caesar, is good versus every matchup. So that is an argument for what to play this deck over to play Angel Trumpeter over not. But yeah, this is if you own these cards and you follow this channel, give this a shot. I promise you, you're not gonna be disappointed by Angel Trumpeter. Like, this card does like so much for this deck. It's 1900 for Roar. 1900 plus Angel Trumpeter banishes all you want off the Roar too. Like, it's crazy. Like, I thought I played this as a meme at first, and then the more I played this, the more I realized how much fucking Angel Trumpeter and Fabled Levilazebul add to this deck. And it actually makes the deck more interesting to play as well. It's not just like a YouTube combo. Like, it makes the deck better into Disruption, as opposed to other combo lines that usually make the deck worse. But yeah, that's enough raving about this. Like this is probably like one of my favorite decks to play in 2025. Which, you know, it's not a very hard bar given like what's been released this year, but you know, still, I've played other Fiendsmith variant. I've almost every other Fiendsmith variant, and this is probably still my favorite. But yeah,